about it this way. If you don't have enough powerful trickster in your personality, you will not be able to see the grandiosity of others clearly enough, including those that want to manipulate you.
Have you ever felt that subtle unease when someone is trying to influence you, but you couldn't quite put your finger on why? That moment when something doesn't feel right, but you dismiss your intuition and go along anyway? What if I told you that your psyche already possesses an ancient, powerful defense system that most people have forgotten how to activate? Think about it. How many times have you looked back at a situation and realized, I knew something was off from the beginning? Why do we ignore these signals? What keeps us blind to manipulation even when part of us senses the deception? In our modern world of carefully crafted personas and strategic influence, we've become increasingly vulnerable to those who would use our psychological blind spots against us. The smooth-talking salesperson, the charismatic leader, the partner who always seems to get their way, all employ tactics that bypass our conscious defenses. But deep within your psychological architecture exists what Dr. Robert Moore identified as the trickster energy, an aspect of the magician archetype that serves as your internal defense system against manipulation. It's the part of you that questions, that sees through facades, that instinctively recognizes when someone's grandiosity is masking their true intentions. As Moore observed in his groundbreaking work, Mapping the Male Psyche, when a man is so conflict-averse that he doesn't put anything out there of his true self, he becomes opaque, not present, not accessible. This opacity isn't just about hiding from others, it's about hiding from yourself, disconnecting from your own internal warning systems. The trickster within you is your psychological immune system. Just as your biological immune system identifies and neutralizes physical threats, your trickster energy identifies and neutralizes psychological threats. But like any system, it must be activated, trained, and trusted. Let me tell you something profound. Time isn't linear when it comes to psychological awareness. The moment you begin to awaken your trickster consciousness, you'll suddenly recognize patterns of manipulation that have been present in your life for years. Past interactions will reveal themselves in new light. That boss who always made you feel inadequate while asking for more work. That friend who subtly undermined your confidence before big opportunities. That advisor whose guidance always seemed to benefit them more than you. Your awakened trickster will recontextualize these experiences, showing you the manipulation that was hidden in plain sight. This isn't about becoming cynical or distrustful. It's about developing what Moore calls boundary consciousness. The ability to recognize where others' agendas end and your authentic needs begin. It's about reclaiming your psychological sovereignty in a world increasingly designed to compromise it. Consider this. Many of the most successful manipulators in your life don't see themselves as manipulators at all. They're simply operating from their own unexamined grandiosity, what Moore calls inflation. They believe they're entitled to influence or control you because they're helping or know better. Their self-image depends on your compliance. When you begin to see through this dynamic, you aren't just protecting yourself. You're offering them an opportunity to confront their own shadows. As Moore notes, men would rather fight a whole division of enemy tanks than deal with an enraged woman they're in an intimate relationship with. Why? Because confronting manipulation requires a different kind of courage than physical bravery. It requires the courage to see clearly, to stand in your truth, even when doing so threatens a relationship or social standing. It requires the courage to trust your perception, even when others try to invalidate it. The path to awakening your trickster energy begins with a commitment to internal honesty. Start paying attention to those subtle feelings of discomfort in interactions, That slight unease when someone is speaking to you, it's information. That sudden impulse to agree just to end a conversation, it's information. That sense that someone is appealing to your vanity or insecurity, it's all valuable information. Your body often recognizes manipulation before your conscious mind does. The tension in your shoulders, the slight nausea in your stomach, the urge to look away, these physical sensations are your trickster energy trying to communicate with you. In our overly intellectualized world, we've been taught to dismiss these signals as irrational or emotional. But they represent an ancient wisdom, a psychological detection system refined over millennia of human interaction. Moore observed that the neurophysiologists have actually proven that when fear comes up and anxiety comes up, the actual brain circuits to the ears shut down. This is crucial to understand. When you're being manipulated, your ability to think clearly is being biochemically compromised. This is why awakening your trickster isn't just an intellectual exercise. It's about developing a full-body awareness that can function even when your rational mind is being overwhelmed. Here are 4 practical ways to awaken and strengthen your trickster energy. First, practice the art of the pause. When you feel pressured to respond immediately, that's often a sign that someone is trying to bypass your natural defenses. A simple, "I need to think about this," creates space for your trickster to assess the situation. Notice who respects this boundary and who tries to push past it. That information alone is revealing. Second, develop your manipulation vocabulary. Learn to name the specific tactics being used against you. Is someone using false scarcity, appeal to authority, gaslighting, emotional blackmail? The trickster thrives on precise language. When you can name the tactic, you diminish its power over you. Third, regularly ask yourself, whose need is really being served here? When someone presents a request as being for your benefit, your trickster energy can help you discern whether that's truly the case, or whether you're being manipulated into serving someone else's agenda while believing it's your own. Fourth, seek the company of those with awakened trickster energy. As Moore emphasizes, ancient initiations never happened in isolation. Find people who see clearly, who aren't afraid to name manipulation when they witness it, who support your emerging psychological sovereignty rather than undermining it. As you strengthen this aspect of your psyche, you'll discover something remarkable. Your relationships actually improve in quality while potentially decreasing in quantity. Those whose connection with you depended on your psychological blindness will either adapt to your new boundaries or fall away. Those who truly value you will respect your awakened perception, even when it creates temporary friction. One of Moore's most profound insights is that the female of our species, when angry, will often not hold anything back. While this observation applies to all genders, it highlights an important truth. When someone's manipulative tactics are exposed, their first response is often escalation rather than honest reflection. Be prepared for this. The moment your trickster energy begins to neutralize someone's influence over you is the moment their tactics will intensify. Remember Moore's wisdom. It's a huge male achievement to be able to maintain critical listening, to listen for the gold in there, in those comments, in that attack. Your trickster energy isn't just defensive, it's discerning. It helps you separate legitimate feedback from manipulative control tactics. It allows you to hear truth, even when it's delivered imperfectly. The fear that comes up and the anxiety that comes up when confronting manipulation is natural. Your system has been conditioned to equate compliance with safety. But true safety comes from psychological clarity, from the ability to see reality as it is, rather than as others would have you see it for their benefit. Awakening your trickster is both an individual journey and a collective one. As more people develop this aspect of their consciousness, our entire culture becomes more resistant to mass manipulation. The political leader who depends on stoking fear, the corporation that profits from artificial insecurity, the spiritual guru whose authority requires your self-doubt, all lose power when confronted with an awakened collective trickster. This is why I believe the development of trickster consciousness is one of the most revolutionary acts possible in our current age. It's not just about personal protection. It's about creating a culture where manipulation becomes increasingly difficult and authentic connection becomes the norm. If you don't have enough powerful trickster in your personality, you will not be able to see the grandiosity of others clearly enough, including those that want to manipulate you. This journey towards psychological sovereignty begins with a single, powerful choice: to trust your perception, to honor those subtle internal signals that have been trying to protect you all along, to reclaim the ancient wisdom of your trickster energy. Today, I invite you to commit to this awakening. The next time you feel that subtle discomfort in an interaction, rather than pushing it aside, pause, breathe into it. Ask yourself, what is this feeling trying to tell me? This simple practice begins the reactivation of your psychological immune system. The manipulators in your life don't want you to discover this secret weapon, because once activated, your trickster energy cannot be easily deceived again. The veil has been lifted. The tactics that once worked flawlessly against you begin to lose their power. Your psychological sovereignty becomes non-negotiable. If this message resonates with your experience, if you recognize the need to awaken this protective energy within yourself, write "Psychic Awakening" in the comments below. This simple act declares your commitment to seeing clearly, to honoring your perception, to reclaiming the psychological sovereignty that has always been your birthright. The time for unconscious compliance is over. The era of the awakened trickster has begun.